Action to prohibit the provisions of VPN services to children in the United Kingdom. Now, how do they know if a VPN user is a child? Identification. In today's video, we're going to discuss how you might need identification to download and utilize a VPN in the UK, but also the concerns that this raises. So over the past month, I've been talking to a few different organisations that have raised issues with a new bill that's come into effect in the UK. This is the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. Now, on a surface level, this bill looks pretty tame. There's a lot of things in there which agreeably a lot of people will say, well, that seems good for children. But when you dive deeper into it, it actually means that all children will end up being identified, stored in a database, and it gives the government the power to not just racially profile children, but profile them on their backgrounds, their heritage, their interests, their location, everything. Essentially, part of this schools bill is going to entail creating databases of children. Now, when it comes to the schools bill, next week I'm doing a full video going into every single thing that you need to know about it. But in this video, I want to concentrate on a certain part of the bill, which is the proposed legislation that they want to bring into effect. And before we get into that, you probably should get a VPN now, before age verification would be required to download a VPN app. So if you are looking for a fantastic VPN, make sure to check out private internet access at the link down below. They don't keep any logs on what you're doing, and basically by using a VPN, it makes it look like you're using the internet from a different country. And with the link down below, you get yourselves 4 months free and 86% off. Now let's get back into this absolute insanity. Action to prohibit the provision of VPN services to children in the United Kingdom. Within 12 months of the day on which this act is passed, the Secretary of State must, for the purpose of furthering the protection and well-being of children, make the regulations which prohibit provision to UK children of a relevant VPN service, the Child VPN Prohibition. Now, this may make you think, how do they determine if someone is a child that's going to be downloading a VPN? Well, you're about to find out. Regulations under subsection 1 may make provisions for the provider of a relevant VPN service to apply to any person seeking to access its service in or from the UK, age assurance, which is highly effective at correctly determining whether or not that person is a child. B, must apply the VPN prohibition to the provider of the relevant VPN service, which is or likely to be offered or marketed to persons in the United Kingdom, to provided to a significant number of persons. C, must make provisions for the monitoring and effective enforcement of the Child VPN Prohibition. So what this means is when you go to an app store and you go to download a VPN app, before you can utilize that VPN, you will need to scan a copy of either your face, a government ID, whether that's your passport, your driving license, or your digital ID, if that ends up happening. Then this comes down to the fundamentals of what a VPN is. A VPN is a way that you can stay private, protective, and depending on which VPN you use, relatively anonymous online. The whole idea is that you are able to use and browse and enjoy the benefits of the internet without the government or your internet service provider spying on your online activities. The whole point and premise of a VPN is to afford you the protections that standard internet usage does not allow you to have at present. Now, with this new regulation and legislation that they want to pass underneath the Child's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, they've done this for a very key and important reason. Rather than having a separate piece of legislation which comes in as a VPN ban, they've decided to put it underneath another piece of legislation. The reason why they've done this is when it comes to government petitions and organisations fighting against this, it makes it incredibly difficult for us to raise petitions, concerns and voice our opinions about the issues with this act, because what it does at its core is make anyone who's appealing this VPN ban to look like that they have a problem with protecting children. The same thing that applied with the Online Safety Act, the same thing that applied to digital identification, it's the classic strawman argument. Oh, you don't think children should be protected? That's why they're doing it. Now, I've been talking to numerous organisations in the UK, and one of the ones that has really stood out to me is Rights for Children. So they are on the right side of this. They want to have the legislation that does protect children and protects children's rights, and in particular their privacy. And they've been very active against this bill as a whole. Now, the VPN part of it for them isn't a core focus. It's not really what they're interested in. Obviously, the VPN part for me is everyone's privacy, adults or children. For them, they're more focused on the children's privacy side of it. And the next video I do will be talking more about their recent open letter to the government and exploring more of that, because it's important and it's interesting. The fact is, the government are passing legislation and regulation in aid of protecting children, whereas organisations like Rights for Children are actually presenting things that could actually protect children. And it's not just them. Many organisations have spoken about this new piece of legislation that's coming in to protect children, not just the VPN side of it, but the whole bill as a whole. And they're saying, hang on a second here, none of the things that we actually want to do to protect children are being represented in this bill. This bill is just the government saying, well, if we get on the side of protecting children, we'll look good, and here's all the other dystopian things that we want to do. Now, just to be clear, I'm not speaking on behalf of any of these organisations. These are all my opinions, and I'm just kind of like taking bits of the information I've collected from multiple like organisations and coming to my own conclusion on what I think about these individual topics. But I will be doing a full video about this whole bill as a whole and how it's absolutely absurd. So make sure you're subscribed to keep up to date with those videos. Also, make sure to check out private internet access VPN at the link down below, because essentially if you get a VPN now and you're basically using the internet and changing your location, when this comes into effect, you won't need to verify your age. So it's better to get ahead of the curve now. Anyway, the government have gone from saying that they're not going to do this, they're not going to ban VPNs, and made a very clear stance on the fact that they won't be banning VPNs, to now including it as part of legislation that we need to verify our age. VPNs make us somewhat anonymous, yet to use it we would need to submit a form of fucking ID. What? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.